A vision of a post-Covid-19 Singapore, the Emerging Stronger Taskforce today revealed its top recommendations for a transformation of businesses and people. National Development Minister Desmond Lee, who co-chairs the task force, said that their work focused on a pivot to action.
And so we identified two overarching themes that would potentially underpin Singapore's future economy post-COVID. And the first is for Singapore that is connected to the world, connected to each other, connected within industry, connected between government, people, private sector, and so on. Connected physically, but also digitally. And the second overarching theme was for a Singapore that is more sustainable for our environment, for our economy, and for our people and our society.
Joining me now is Singapore editor Zakir Hussain. Welcome to the show, Zakir. Zakir, the Emerging Stronger Taskforce's report is 118 pages long, detailing how Singapore can come out from the pandemic and thrive in a post-Covid-19 world. What stood out for you the most, and what are the main takeaways from the report?
I think in a way, the report is not a complete surprise to those of us who have been following this issue for some time. And I think what was refreshing is that a lot of the initiatives that have come about as a result, for instance, how to encourage safe visitor experiences, how to work with private sectors and the people sector in terms of coming up with new ideas or initiatives. Some of these have come out, in the response to the pandemic over the past few months. What was refreshing, I thought, was the report actually coming out and saying this is maybe the new way forward for Singapore, where public agencies cannot and do not have all the wisdom. They do need to tap on and collaborate with large firms, with small firms, with private sector players, in jointly coming up with solutions to take Singapore forward and to take the economy forward. And they're talking about institutionalizing this approach through what they call alliances for action, and basically making this, a formal way of kind of going forward.
And also, one part of the recommendations as well, Zakir, is focused on workers.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? And as the economy and businesses transform, what does it mean for workers, who have to adopt new skills and new roles even?
Yeah, so I think it is going to be a much more challenging landscape for workers, and I think one key recommendation is, there's this constant need to upskill and reskill workers to take on new roles, right? Whether it's in the digital economy or in a completely different sector. And I think the task force members, were confident that the experience of how workers responded, by and large, in the pandemic helped. For instance, those in tourism, those in aviation had to pivot quite dramatically to completely new sectors, like healthcare. And at the same time, I think it also highlighted the role that companies have in this regard. So one of the recommendations is for, to groom large local enterprises, but also queen bee companies that are leading in the industry, to not just focus on the short term or narrow, focus just on the company's growth, but to focus on growing the ecosystem and the sector as well. And I think there was a call for them to be more involved in training workers, not just for the larger sector, but for the Singapore economy as a whole.
Right.
And so I think if, it's sort of this nudge to basically, to companies as well as to workers, to kind of work together and think about, pivoting to new sectors as the economy, as the jobs landscape becomes a bit more volatile.